5 things I wish I knew before marrying the wrong person. When I think about my wedding day, I wish I could go back to that woman who I was and just like very gently cradle the sides of her face with my wiser, compassionate hands and just say to her, you don't have to rush into this. You don't have to do this. You can wait. Your life will not fall apart if you wait. And, when I reflect back, I don't really have any regrets, although I did feel that this was a really important episode to do, because in sharing what I wish I knew before I made the decision to marry the person who would become my ex-husband, then maybe I can help some of you not make the wrong decision too. But the paradox in all of this is that did I marry the wrong person? Well, I'm not with this person anymore. So you could argue that he definitely was the wrong person. And I guess I was obviously the wrong person for him too. And I also know that at one point it felt really right. And had I not had that experience, I would not be sitting here today. So I really do believe that we can't live in regret. We have to just see what the lessons are. And our job is not to never make mistakes. Our job is to learn from our mistakes. And that's the most important thing. So for any of you who are dating, or you're just starting to see someone, or maybe you're in a relationship or a marriage now, and it's very possible that some of the things that I share today could be the thing that could save your relationship, or it could be the thing that gives you the courage to make some sort of change to that relationship, whether it's ending it or taking it to the next level. So, number 1, the first thing that I wish I knew before I married the quote unquote wrong person is that I didn't have to rush. Now, I'm not an advocate for waiting years and years and years to take the step towards marriage. There are lots of people and couples where I feel like they're going too slow. But if I'm really honest with myself, and I think if a lot of you are honest with yourselves, you would find that you are maybe rushing towards commitment, or rushing towards marriage, or rushing towards moving in with each other, or rushing towards having children because the alternative scares you. The alternative is maybe it'll never happen for you, or you're getting to be a certain age, and if you get married or commit any later, then no one's going to want you, or your friends are going to look at you a certain way, or you're having pressure from society or your family, or you're afraid that maybe if you don't rush into commitment that you might lose the person. And the reality is that it takes time to build a true emotional connection with someone. When we feel that really intense connection, that almost inexplicable connection with someone who we don't actually know that well, we haven't known for a very long time, so much of that is chemistry. It's lust. It's hormones. And it's not really rooted in safety and trust and respect. It's familiarity. That's a big part of it. This person is familiar. They feel like home. There is a lot of psychological theory that suggests that sometimes when someone feels very familiar, it's because they're reminding you of something from childhood, a relationship with your parent, which could be a great thing, or it could be a not so great thing. That feeling of familiarity that feels inexplicable, a lot of people will romanticize that feeling and think, well, it's our souls recognizing each other. Therefore, this is my soulmate. And, who am I to say that that doesn't exist? Maybe, but you could also be recognizing a quote unquote soulmate, because if, let's just suppose you do believe in that, maybe your soul is recognizing, a wound mate, a lesson mate, that comes in the form of a soulmate. In other words, sometimes that familiarity that you feel with someone, that feeling of home, that connection, it's a lovely feeling. And I'm certainly not poo-pooing it. But what I am suggesting is that so much of that comes from lust, and maybe there is a connection there. But that doesn't mean that the two of you or one of you has what it takes to build a relationship together. And then it can end up being something that goes from familiar to suffering, to extreme suffering. The first year of a relationship is actually quite fragile. It's when you are learning about each other and deciding if you are right for each other long term. It's when you're learning each other's love languages. Hopefully within the year, you are discovering how both of you respond and react to stress. What happens when hard things happen. You're learning about each other's character, your ability to deal with hard things, particularly to deal with hard things in the relationship. So how you repair, how you communicate when you have an argument, how you fight. And it's not about finding perfection in another person, because you never will, because you're not perfect either. None of us are. But you want to discover if the two of you have what it takes to build something real and meaningful together. And if you are in that year discovering that you're having certain issues, how willing are you to confront those issues and to work on them? And then there's always the question of how big are those issues? Sometimes there are issues that are revealed within a year that are meant to wake us up to the fact that we're not with the right person. I wish there was such a black and white way to describe relationships, but relationships are very nuanced and complex. But what I will say is that to build a true emotional connection takes time. You have to see each other stressed out. You have to have had some arguments. You have to see the not so perfect sides of each other. You have to see where how the pain of each other's childhood shows up in your adulthood, and you have to be able to say, I can live with this. I can live with this because this is the baggage that I bring. And this is how I'm carrying my baggage, and this is how I'm working through my baggage. Can you live with mine? Can you live with what it is that I live with and that what I'm working on? And hopefully we discover this inside of a year. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but within the year that I was with my ex-husband before we got married, there were very significant red flags. They are red flags that I outline in my book. It Begins With You, but there were some significant red flags. And so were they the kind of red flags where I should have just walked away immediately? Yeah, there's some argument. There's definitely a strong argument for that. But at the very least, sometimes those red flags are just are a clue or signal that you should slow down and have some conversations and observe more to see if you two are right for each other. Acknowledge or be very honest with yourself about whether or not you are rushing to commitment, whether that is a marriage or moving in together or something comparable, because of fear. Or if you're just so certain that this person is right for you and you have had the difficult conversations and you've seen each other stressed out and not being your best, and you do see their kind of shadow side and you accept it anyway. I didn't really have those conversations with myself. And I definitely was operating more from fear and also thinking this belief that because I was the age that I was, that I knew exactly what it is that I wanted. And it wasn't exactly true. So the first thing I wish I knew before marrying the wrong person was I didn't have to rush, and that you should never make a decision like marriage or anything comparable to that out of fear. You have to make a decision based on clarity. And that only comes after you've had some time to really know each other beneath the surface and beneath the chemistry. Number two, the second thing I wish I knew before marrying the wrong person is how important personal development is. Now, it's kind of ironic because I've always been someone who's sort of been working on myself, doing yoga, studying the mind. So I wasn't like this vastly unaware person. And I am not here to say that you have to do all the personal development and then you're ready for a relationship. But I am saying that we do have to prepare for the kind of relationship that we claim we want, which is healthy, loving, fulfilling, communicative. And the way that we prepare for anything, whether it's the business that we want, whether it's for parenting, whether it's for the relationship that we want, is through personal development. Now, you could say doing the inner work, but I've been really enjoying replacing this concept of working on ourselves with personal development. And what I mean by that is really understanding my needs, not just in a relationship, but just in life as a whole, and learning how to meet them so that I could come to a relationship. I don't think any of us are ever 100% whole. I don't think any of us are 100% healed, but I do think that it is a smart aim. It is a noble aim to try to reach for as much wholeness as we possibly can before we're in a relationship and even while in the relationship. The personal development doesn't just start before the relationship. It has to continue while in the relationship. And it looks different for everyone, but basically it's developing our character. It's becoming a better person in a lot of ways. It's working on our stuff. It's building our self-awareness. A big part of personal development is, especially when it comes to relationships, is examining the relationship blueprint and the blueprint that we have about love and romantic love in particular. Because we all have this kind of understanding, this blueprint that we've inherited about what it means to be in a relationship, what it means to love someone, what it means to be loved. And, a lot of us, myself included, I wish I knew that being in a relationship was not just about someone treating me well and having chemistry and getting my needs met. I wish I knew that building a relationship with someone required me to be the kind of partner that I would want, and it required me to work on my self-esteem. It required me to understand that love and a relationship is not just a place that we go to get and to receive, but it's a place that we go to give. I wish that I knew more what it means to receive love and to give love and love languages and all of these things. These are things that really strengthen our character and they mature us. It's not about healing every single childhood wound, but it is about addressing the wounds that have, if you've been honest with yourself, been interfering with the success or the lack thereof of your past relationships. This episode is sponsored by Rocket Money. When it comes to spending, sometimes it can be out of sight, out of mind, like the daily coffee habit. And let's talk about streaming subscriptions. They do add up fast without us even noticing. And Rocket Money helps you spot those patterns so you can do something about them so that you are not throwing money out the window unnecessarily. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It is genius. You see all your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/onlove today. That's rocketmoney.com/onlove. rocketmoney.com/onlove. And so that's what I mean by personal development. That could mean therapy. It could mean something else. But it's ultimately working on what's up here and really becoming sort of mindful of the beliefs that we have about ourselves and about men and about women and about relationships. And that our personal development is ongoing. In fact, I really believe that our greatest contribution to the people we love is our own personal development. We take it from making them have to be different, and we look at ourselves and we think, okay, well, it begins with us. It begins with me. So, yeah, I wish I had known that. The third thing I wish I knew before marrying the wrong person, I wish that I'd gotten radically clear about my values, my needs, and basically what I non-negotiably need in a relationship and what are my deal breakers. I really wish I had taken that time to get clear because, we talk a lot about insecure attachment and becoming more secure. And a big part of becoming more secure, less anxious, less avoidant, whatever it is developing a self-trust that comes from an internal certainty, feeling certain inside of ourselves. And we build that self-trust and that inner certainty by having really honest conversations with ourselves about what it is that we absolutely need in order to function in a relationship. What are our deal breakers? What are our non-negotiables? And then, of course, we have to always say, okay, well, if this is what I want, what do I have to do? What do I have to do differently? Or what do I have to develop within myself to be the kind of person who would not only attract that person who I say I want, but who can sustain the relationship that I say that I want? But I really wish I had taken that into account, because if I had really known my deal breakers, and if I had not just known them, but if I had been loyal to them as well, I would have made a different choice. I would have made a lot of different choices. And really understanding what's most important to me and the way that I want to live my life. And part of that is not just knowing the kind of partner I want or the kind of love I want to feel, but what is the kind of relationship I want to build? Some of us have parents who had and continue to have amazing marriages, and we think, I want to have a marriage like my parents. Some of us, like myself, had parents with terrible marriages, and we think, I don't want to have a marriage like that. But we don't think about what has to happen in order to not have that marriage, or what has to happen in order for us to have that marriage. And we think, oh, I just have to meet that right person. But you can't, meeting that right person is not enough. You have to choose that right person, which means you have to say no to other people. And it also means that we have to show up a certain way. And so we can have this ideal of what we want, or this warning of what we don't want, the warning of the relationship some of us that our parents had that was terrible. But we don't think enough about what has to happen or what can't happen in order to create that with someone or to avoid that. I knew that I didn't want to have a marriage like my parents, but I didn't think enough about the kind of marriage that I did want. I thought a lot, and this is what people do. we think about a lot about how we want to feel. And that's important. It's crucial. But we have to think about what needs to happen in order to feel that way. So I really wish that I had the education to understand that that's something that I really needed to think about before I married this person. Number 4, I wish I had the hard conversations. I wish I had them sooner, and I wish I just had them. I wish when there was something that came up that really concerned me, that instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to bring this up because if I bring this up, I may rock the boat. I wish that I had the courage to bring them up. I wish I had the self-esteem to bring up these hard conversations. And if I had known how important these conversations were, I may have found the courage to have them, even though they would have scared the hell out of me. You know, the kind of conversations that might reveal where there is a misalignment between the two of us. And that revelation could have led to a breakup. Or the kind of conversation where I had to stand up for myself, which could have led to a lot of discord between us. I wish that I had the courage to say, you know, this is what I want, this is what I need. I wish I had the courage to ask what he needed and what he wanted, and to have the conversation if I felt like that they were needs that I couldn't meet. You know, the thing is, we avoid the hard conversations because, number 1, we don't realize how important these uncomfortable conversations are. And look, a hard conversation is any conversation that makes you feel uncomfortable. And so some of us are just wildly uncomfortable about any difficult conversation because, again, it can reveal a misalignment, or it can lead to a discussion where there's a miscommunication or an argument. It also means it takes a lot of courage, but we avoid them because we don't realize that by avoiding them, we are actually making it pretty much impossible to have a great relationship, a fulfilling, lasting relationship. And we avoid them because we're so afraid to rock the boat. And so what I really wish I knew before I married this person, is that I can't avoid the hard conversations. I have to tell the truth. We always have to tell the truth, or we have to tell the truth how we see it, and we have to listen. It's not just about what we are willing to say or not say. It's also about what we're willing to hear or not hear. We do have to ask the questions that scare us. We have to be willing to listen to the answers that scare us even more. We have to be willing to reveal any misalignments, and to figure out if those misalignments are ones that are deal breakers or ones that we can work with. Because, you know, the decision to spend our life with someone is the most important decision we will ever make. And that doesn't mean, you know, and a lot of us make mistakes in this regard, but, you know, sometimes it's not just about the wrong person. Sometimes it's about us not showing up the way that we need to show up. But if you want to prevent being with the person who's truly wrong for you, and you are probably truly wrong for them, you have to have the hard conversations. If you want to build the kind of relationship that I know all of you want to build, whether you are single or in a relationship right now, you have to have the hard conversations. And your palms might be sweating, and your heart might feel like it's beating out of its chest. And it might take every ounce of courage that you have, and it might be the scariest thing you do, but you can't avoid. And like, we just have to shelve all attachment theory right now, because you can be the most anxiously attached person ever and avoid a lot of things because you are trying to protect yourself from the anxiety that feels all consuming. So regardless of how you how you identify as far as your attachment style is, avoidance is a really big thing when it comes to just our lives in general. We avoid taking risks. We avoid taking next steps. We avoid commitment, or we avoid the conversations that could lead to the rupture of a commitment. We just can't do it. Part of the personal development part is learning how to have these conversations with skill. Learning how to communicate in such a way that the other person listens. If you date men, understanding how men process information. If you date women, learning how women process certain information. That's all part of our personal development. And so it's not just throw caution to the wind and have the hard conversation. It's have the hard conversation and educate yourself on how to have the hard conversation, because there is no shortage of experts now, on these platforms teaching us how to do this. And so this is really important. This episode is sponsored by Masterclass. I believe in the power of mentorship. And if you have a growth mindset and you like to learn new things, which I am pretty sure all of you listening to this podcast do, there is nothing like gaining knowledge and a fresh perspective from experts who have the wisdom to prove it. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. It is the only streaming platform where you can learn and grow with over 200 of the world's best. So instead of doom scrolling, you can actually access all of Masterclass insights anytime, anywhere on your phone, computer, smart TV, or even in audio mode. And for only $10 a month billed annually, a membership with Masterclass gets you unlimited access to every single instructor. It's an amazing deal, and it's personally my dream come true. Every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So for every challenge, for every interest, Masterclass does offer essential insights and honestly, really life-changing lessons. So don't wait another moment. It's genius. Our listeners always get great discounts on Masterclass of at least 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/JOL. See Masterclass's latest deal, at least 15% off at masterclass.com/JOL. Masterclass.com/JOL. And then the fifth and final thing I wish I knew before marrying the wrong person is I wish I had entered a relationship feeling stronger in who I was and what I wanted out of my life. And that relates to personal development. That relates to, knowing what your values and your deal breakers are, but also it's understanding where there is a void in your life. What is it that you in particular need to work on? Is it more financial stability? Is it more community? Is it more, I don't know, having fun or taking more risks in life? I wish that I had known that tending to these things before and during a relationship is so incredibly important. And for me, it was really learning how to stand on my own 2 feet and challenging this blueprint, this very deeply rooted belief that I had that if you're with the right person, then, everything falls into place. And you could have the best time with someone. You could laugh until you're practically peeing in your pants. You could even have great sex with this person. There could be so many things that are right. But if we're not tending to the relationship that we have with ourselves, if we're not challenging certain things about love, if we are not able to meet certain needs, if we are not bringing to the table the best part of ourselves, because we're not always, and sometimes we're complicated and nuanced, but if we're not working on that, then the relationship is not going to be what it is that we want it to be. And then we'll fall apart, and then we'll tell ourselves a story that we're just not good at relationships, or we'll tell ourselves a story that they're just a terrible person. So, for some of you, that might be, working on your own security. I wish I had known that self-worth really matters. You see, the personal development is just building our character and whatnot, but this is more specific to self-worth. And not all of you are going to resonate with this, but if you do, you have to pay attention. The person we choose to partner with, the person we choose to marry, is a reflection of how we see ourselves. They are a declaration of what we believe we deserve. You can tell how someone feels about themselves by the person who they've chosen. And it's not just about making the other person good or bad. It's about how the person makes you feel in the relationship and how you make them feel. And that a relationship is in all its imperfection. And if it's going to really last over years, decades, you're going to have hard times. But ultimately, the emotional center of gravity of a relationship should be one in where you can relax. Again, you might go through hard times. There might be times of a lot of nervous system dysregulation. But having moments of that is not the same thing as having that be what defines the emotional center of gravity. The emotional center of gravity of a relationship must be that your body can relax. And you're not going to choose those kinds of relationships if there's any holes in your self-worth and your self-esteem. And so I wish I knew how to really work on those things inside myself in order to prepare myself for the kind of relationship that I say I want. And before you freak out, it's not about being perfect or having perfect self-esteem, but it does matter. It really, truly does matter. How you feel about yourself matters, and it is reflected in the kind of relationships that you allow into your life. You can walk away, and I am not someone to just emphasize walking away. I'm here. I mean, I worked with couples for years and trying to help them work it out. But my not walking away sooner, which was really important actually for me and my story, I didn't do it because I would have felt like a complete and utter loser and failure, and I was so afraid of being alone, and those are not the reasons why you stay in a relationship. So I hope this helps. These are the 5 things I wish I knew before marrying the quote unquote wrong person. And I hope I want to hear from you if it helps. And I also want to tell you about something really important that I have built. It is a membership for women. It's a private community. And yes, I am building something that includes men, so do not worry. But I created this membership called The Conscious Woman. And it's for women who want to be their best selves, who want to be secure, who want to have the healthiest relationship possible, starting with the relationship with themselves. It is where every single workshop I have ever done lives. It's where every single workbook lives. It's also a place of community and where you get to have group coaching with me and group coaching with one of the most senior coaches and best coaches I know. She's actually one of my first coaches ever. This is more than just a community. This is a movement. And right now is really the only time that you can sign up. The link to sign up are in the show notes, so just look below. And it's just a couple of days. And that is the only time. And we are opening the doors for just a couple of days, and then doors won't be open till maybe early next year. So this is your time. This is your time to learn with me. Think about this podcast and think about going 10 times deeper and in a community, a global community of like-minded women. And so if this is calling you, this is your sign. Please do not hesitate. This is the most important work that I do. And I love the women in this group. It is a tight-knit community. So please do not hesitate. Click the link below. And until next time, thanks for listening. Jillian On Love is a QCODE production, executive produced by David Henning and Steve Wilson, produced and edited by Travis Howe, music by Will Tendy.